in the self-discovery podcast, I speak on fear a lot because I feel like fear has just overcome our country and it's kind of made us illogical in our approach to so many things. And so for you guys to be speaking on your direct experience, I appreciate it so much because I encourage people regularly to go back to the facts. Like, what are you seeing on the ground? What are you experiencing in your everyday life? And does that need to increase your amount of fear or decrease your amount of fear? So I want to talk to you guys about some of the things that you found really effective in preventing, combating, and treating COVID. I mean, are there vitamins, activities? What can people be doing to prep themselves for having the best immune system possible? And then were they to get it, are there any recommendations that you have to decrease the longevity of the virus? Like, what are you seeing that's effective?
So in general, just as a whole, I haven't seen much of anything be effective, especially like current pharmaceuticals. And, I'm not going to say I am licensed to give any advice or anything like that. This isn't like any sort of to swing anyone one way or the other when it comes to medical decisions. The best part is it is your decision. However, there's been things like remdesivir, Rocephin, we give antibiotic and then an antiviral. But as far as seeing like an abundant difference with what we're treating them with, I can't say I do. The things we do treat, we put them on their stomach to try to break up some of the stuff and the junk in their lungs. We try to prevent the furthering of the pneumonia getting worse. But in general, there is no cure. There is no like good treatment. However, I will say most of these patients, diabetic, kidney disease, things that can be originally prevented, unless you are a very small percentage in which you have some sort of genetic issue, disease, things like that. So ultimately, preventative medicine, be healthy, sleep, get sunlight, drink water, eat healthy, watch, we're exposed to toxins every day. Decrease your toxin exposure. Vitamin D, zinc, vitamin C, you've heard that, I'm sure. Just being proactive really about your health and in general, not even just against the virus, but because that's what makes you have a vibrant life. So that's really my take.
Strengthening the immune system.
Yeah, I agree 100% that I haven't seen a magic bullet, and I will say that, and it's hard to call it a vaccine for me because it's not a weakened or dead virus. It's something totally different. I wish they would have a better label than vaccine, but I do see that the vaccine does decrease the symptoms in the people that take it for, the most part. So, I'm not an anti-vaxxer or pro-vaxxer. I'm risk versus benefit, and you should do what you feel like is best for yourself. But going off that, myself, you can see my tonic water in the background. I've had a regimen since the beginning of this. We didn't have a vaccine as frontline workers for a long time when this was coming around. And I just saw a video. I've always done the zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D kind of regimen. I had Lyme disease years ago, and it seemed like anytime I'd get a little cold virus, I'd have like a 2 or 3 week spell of just being so sick.
Oh my gosh.
And as I was getting over Lyme disease, I came across coldies. I hope I can get, some, royalties from them or whatever. Like I would advertise coldies because it's just a zinc cough drop. It coats the lining of your mouth. And all my colds always seem to stay in my head. I really don't ever get chest colds. So like that zinc cough drop, and I added the tonic water, vitamin C, vitamin D. And I've never had COVID as far as I know. Like they've never, and for frontline workers, it's a don't ask, don't tell. you know, if you don't have
Mm-hmm.
a fever, then at our hospital, they usually don't test you. Like, you pretty much have to pass that threshold because they need us to work. And I mean,
Yeah.
for me, I get it. Like, I'm fine with that. I want to keep working. But yeah, I've made it through this whole pandemic. I've hugged people on Airvo where they're getting 50 liters of oxygen shot up their nose. And if they need a hug, I hug them. Like, I really, and, you know, going back to fear, I don't know if I might be a little naive, but like, I try to bring in a vibrational frequency that's so high that COVID doesn't want to come inside me.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you said that, because that's what I've been saying to myself since the beginning of the pandemic. I've actively been saying, I am not a good host for COVID. It is not welcome in my body.
Yeah.
And I am so grateful I have not had it. And we had a little scare last week, and both my husband and I got tested because he was having some like congestion, and he was like, I think I finally got it. And we got tested, and both of us came back negative. He just had he's having allergies, but
and the zinc cough drop is, I mean, this is clinically proven. I've been doing this since pre-COVID, but it's like, it decreases, like, it stops viruses from being able to multiply. So it basically kind of cuts it off at the pass and allows your body to take over. And, you know, like, that's what ultimately wins. No medicine ever wins. Medicines help your body win. Like, in the end, it makes it's your immune system that makes it work. So.
So I have, well, all my listeners know this if they've been listening to the podcast for any length of time, but I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune disorder. And fortunately, my Hashimoto's is now in remission. However, in my research, what I've realized is your immune system is in your gut. And so what I find puzzling is that so much medicine, like, people aren't talking about gut health and how important gut health is in your overall health and your ability to be able to fight all kinds of viruses, like you said, Isaac, because ultimately medicine is just there to help our bodies do what our bodies do best, which is go back into a state of homeostasis. So I find that to be super interesting. Do you guys have anything you want to add to that, or any gut health tips that you have found useful?
I think just in general, being very mindful of your gut health period is just a good approach. You know, I mean, there's so many things out there, what is good versus bad, and it's different for everybody. But to add what you said previously, you know, they don't tell us about these foundational aspects of what what it means to be healthy. And, you know, I like the saying of vibing higher, like, you know, with like what Isaac said, just because, you know, when you're just like clean and pure, that stuff can't really penetrate. That sounds crazy. I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, it doesn't though, because I believe it. I believe it. It's just not a good match.
Exactly. But all those things that are foundational and root, they can't profit on.
Yeah.
You know, and it is beyond frustrating for sure, because it's like, why aren't they pushing things like exercise and, you know, teaching us about gut health and teaching us about GMOs and good food and good water and
micronutrients, you know, and how they assimilate in the body so fast.
Yeah, I didn't really
but no, it's like it's antibiotics. There's all these things that are money.
Yeah.
And when you mention gut health, I mean, probiotics have been part of my, you know, kind of health regimen since Lyme disease. And I mean, honestly, it's just so, you know, I don't really take them religiously or anything, but I feel like probiotics is another part of the aspect that, you know, I bring. And trying to go back to the high vibes before and just kind of go off on a tangent. Like, I'm a really rational person. I was raised Southern Baptist, and I always try to figure out, like, and I know Jesus is kind of a hot topic, but it's like I always try to rationalize, how did Jesus do the things that they claimed he did? And I've talked to the chaplain before about this. Like, I feel like he kind of just carried around a higher vibrational frequency where, like, sickness would flee from him. Like, it's just like, you know, part of his healing was just like, these vibes were just so high that it's just like, you know, darkness can't exist in the light.
Well, and Self-Discovery Podcast is cool with Jesus, just so you know. So
okay, yeah, I mean,
if it's a hot button topic, let it be a hot button topic, because
I'm just starting to
for
come
the
back
Jesus
around
train.
on him because I was like so burned by the church, being Southern Baptist, and that's another thing that I don't like about the current situation. Things that I used to hate about, and where I'm from, Southern Baptist, it was like believe in Jesus or go to hell. That's the ultimatum.
Sure.
I almost feel like it's get the vaccine or go to hell. Like I feel like we've kind of gotten to that kind of mentality.
I think that's a really interesting correlation. Super quick on vibes. Everything in our world is a frequency. If you look at anything under a microscope, it's vibrating at a certain frequency in order to exist. And so one of the things that I've been doing, not only with this podcast, but also in other work and healing work with people, is understanding that whatever we want to bring into our lives, we have to match that frequency. So if we want to bring higher vibe people, we have to become higher vibe people ourselves. And I think that crosses over into every genre, whether it's money or health or whatever else. So I'm 1,000,000% down with the woo-woo stuff.
Yeah. And
next thing I want to talk about.
Sorry, one quick, just to go on the vibration. So to help defeat Lyme disease, I came across something called a Doug Coyle Rife machine, which is a frequency generator hooked up to a wire coil. And you would set it up to a certain 432 was the one I used. It was, through the data and the people and it was like, I was just so sick. I was like, I'll try anything. Yeah. And I truly believe this vibrating wire coil helped. I got better after I got that. And I used antibiotics and other things as well, but I don't think I would have gotten through it. It took me a year and a half, 2 years to get through Lyme. It was really
I bet.
entrenched.
I mean, it can ravage your body. I'm so glad that you brought that up because again, I've been doing deep dives into frequency therapy and frequency healing. And there's a new bed coming out called the Opus Bed. That is a frequency therapy bed. It's coming out next February. And I ordered it and I'm in talks with the people who created it. But essentially it is frequency therapy. You lay on this bed and with sound and with vibration, they're gearing it toward mental health. But it is a therapy bed, which I think is so freaking cool. And I think this is the future. I think people are so tired. And I know my friend circle in general is so tired of what feels like antiquated approaches to medicine, where it feels like there's only one way. It has to be a pill or a drip or a something that comes from a pharmaceutical
something
company
that makes somebody money.
That makes somebody so much money, when I'm such a firm believer in how miraculous our bodies are. And again, going back to frequency, there's also talks. I'm having this guy, it's going to be part 2. But I had him on the podcast for part 1. And there's a device called Natural Action that you run water through it. And it changes the molecular structure of the water to be like what is found in nature. And the water that is found in nature, after it's been tumbled over rocks and swirled around, it assimilates into our body faster to hydrate our bodies more effectively. Yeah. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
But also, you can program water with frequency. So whatever it is that you are suffering from, whether it be an autoimmune disorder, a heart problem, a hip problem, you can impart frequency into water and then it assimilates in your body faster and in a more healing way, which I think is so ingenious and so cool. And going back to Jesus and God, it's like we were given every resource we need. We just need to use it responsibly.